Hi everybody, back out on one of my walks and a thought's occurred to me. I was listening to Jordan Peterson yesterday. Now, I know that there are very mixed feelings about him, but personally I find him very interesting. I like the way he's very direct, he explains very well what he means, and I don't think there's anybody in the world that I agree completely with, but that doesn't mean that they can't teach me something. And the thing that he was talking about, which was, I can't tell you how deeply it resonated with me, was about women and whether women are actually told the truth about what our role is likely to be in life. And, you know, the headline of that could be misconstrued in all kinds of ways. But as he was talking, all I could think was, oh my goodness, has he been following my life story? He's talking about me. Of course he's not. He's talking about some actually really important principles that are uncomfortable. They are uncomfortable to hear, and some of what he says is uncomfortable to hear. That doesn't mean it's not true. And that doesn't mean we shouldn't listen to it and question it and use it to change things. So the point he was making about women is that we're not told the whole truth. So when we're younger, we're told that we can have these fantastic careers and do all of these wonderful things, and we can basically have it all. I was definitely one of those women, you know, coming out of university, going into a career. The world was my oyster. I was very blessed. Personally, I'm not saying, I have no opinion on other people's experiences. I can only comment on mine. I do not feel I've ever suffered from gender bias in my world, in my job, in what I've done. And whether that is a blessing or whether that is just something that everybody should have, and it's trying to find the words here. So I do get a little bit uncomfortable when people say, oh, well, you've been lucky, because I think, well, hang on, is that luck or is that how it should be? And what we need to be focusing on are the areas where it's not that case. But anyway, I digress somewhat. And basically he was saying that in all of the work that he's done with lots and lots of different people, particularly couples, and again, this is where it resonated deeply, couples who are both in very senior focused careers. And he also makes the point that actually a lot of people are actually in jobs, not career, and there's a definition distinguished between the two. It is really, really difficult, particularly when you bring not only children, but your other interests into the equation. And in his observations, most, particularly women, get to the stage, sometime probably in their early 30s, where they wake up one day and they think, oh, crikey, do I want more than this? And honestly, it could be writing my life story. So it was in my mid-30s that I met my husband, and for the first time ever, all of these things, this career and this life I had, didn't seem quite so sparkly. And rather than rushing to get to work in the morning and being so excited about what the day ahead would bring, I would dread it, and I was starting to become resentful about how much of my time it took and how little control I had over my time, or where I went in terms of where the clients were or the type of work that I did. And all of these things that have been so wonderful suddenly didn't seem that wonderful anymore. And the big driver behind that was, of course, I had started a relationship with somebody who was to go on to become my husband and father of my children. So it was a pretty serious relationship, and it is still a pretty serious relationship. And it meant I just didn't have time. You know, trying to squeeze in time to develop that relationship was really, really difficult. So as time went on and we married and we had our children, we were both managing very, very big careers with a lot of responsibility, running our own company with employees, with, you know, sizable contracts. Now, by ordinary standards, you would go, oh, that's success, you've ticked the box. But slowly and slowly, as the years went by and our first two boys were born, I was just becoming more and more resentful, more disenchanted, more demotivated. And there was no real intrinsic motivation to get up and go and do what I'd done for so long. And that was because all of these are the things that come into my life, and I wasn't, and have never just been one thing. And as I say, I can't comment on how it feels for other people, but as he's talking about his observations on this, it really resonated, because it was like my story. And what that then meant was that the extrinsic motivation, the money and everything, all the trappings that go, the nannies, the au pairs, the PAs, the sales, all of that just became, I became, like a spoiled brat. It just was meaningless to me. I mean, when I look back now, at the money I wasted, and at times my entitled and really unpalatable behaviour, because I was resentful and becoming bitter and angry, and I'd lost touch with some of my really, really core values, and I actually wasn't living the life that I wanted to live, even though to other people it would have looked like this amazing life. And this was two very senior people, both trying to fit everything in alongside, because these big careers, they're not a 40-hour week. I can't ever remember working a 40-hour week, ever. It's a commitment, it is a vocation, it is a way of life. And eventually, after our third child, I did get, I've talked about it before, and I don't keep talking about it to keep reliving it. I just think it's a really important catalyst and milestone in my life, was when I got postnatal depression, because things were taken out of my hands, and something bigger than me made the decisions. And that's when I actually stepped off the career ladder, and I've never got back on it. I've never really got back on it. And it was interesting that it took me many years, and something always, I always used to say something's conspired. Every time I thought about getting back on the career ladder, that something conspired to stop me doing it. And maybe, it is something bigger than me. Maybe it was my subconscious, who knows. But lots of things actually kept me very much in the homemaker nurturing role. And as my children have got older now, it's freed up time for me to actually, I'm back studying, and I'm writing and volunteering and doing all kinds of great things. But they're all intrinsically motivated. I don't get paid for any of them. And yes, I'm in a very lucky position that I'm able to do that. But I also worked for a very long time. I'm talking like 24 years, really long hours, and made a lot of sacrifices, I guess, to also get myself in that position. It wasn't something that was just, handed to me on a plate. And I think the point to all of this is that that there were definitely things as I got older that I heard what he was saying, and that a lot of people do wake up, and it's not just about having kids, and it's actually not about being a woman. I think it's just that as we go through life, we realise that maybe there are other things, and actually getting to the top of your game and being the chief executive or being at the top of your game is great. It's absolutely great if that's absolutely what you want, but it takes a lot of dedication and a lot of sacrifice. And you've got to be honest with yourself about whether they are the sacrifices you want to make. And there may be people that have done a far better job than I was able to do, and balancing it all, or it just may be that my values and my drivers were different. And when I did stop work, I have to say it took me a long, long time to come to terms with not having an externally validated status, because whether we like it or not, our status is dictated by our job, our career, how much we're worth, how much we're paid. That's how success is defined. So to go from being a very senior, well-paid, successful career woman to a stay-at-home mum was really quite a transition, and a lot of my own questions around my self-esteem, worth, definition, all kinds of things. It's been stuff that I've been working on for years. Now, I wouldn't say I'm there, but I'm a hell of a lot closer to it than I was. And actually there is something very deep in what he's saying, which is about taking a reality check on the expectations that we're setting. So I don't think I'm being helpful to my children to say, just go out there and have this fantastic sparkling career, and there's no cost or sacrifice associated with it. There is. equally, not going out there and striving. Gosh, what's the easiest way to say this? Do you know what? I think what I'm coming around to, it's just about that honest conversation with yourself, which is about what are your values, what are your passions, what are the things that you're really drawn to, and do you have the courage to stand up and actually say, that's who I am and that's what I do, whether that tick the box in society or not about what defines success. And you might get lucky and it might be in one of those boxes, and it might not be in one of those boxes. But the point is, it's about that honest conversation with yourself and about being true to yourself, because not being true to yourself, I found, generated a lot of bitterness and resentment in me and unhappiness. And I'm hugely grateful actually for postnatal depression, because it was a very big turning point and catalyst for me to reassess my life. And I think there is something quite profound and really important in the conversations that we are having. And I don't think this is a gender issue at all. I think this is a people issue about what it takes, what it really, really takes if you want to reach the top, and that there are sacrifices to be made. And it's okay not to want to make them, and it's okay to make them. What's not okay is not to be honest with yourself about those decisions that you're making. I hope I've got the genuine intent of that message over. It's actually quite a difficult message to get over, which is why I think that he can be, Jordan Peterson, JP, as I refer to him, can be, he gives rise to these very contrary headlines and so forth. But if you really listen to some of the stuff, what I found is that there is some truth, no matter how uncomfortable it might be in there. And if it actually inspires you to think and to question and to grow, then that's okay. So I hope that is of help as ever. Take care. All the best. Bye.